Now, I've got to be honest with you guys, and to be honest with myself, and admit that I am a bit impatient when it comes to drawing or painting. I think that sometimes I'm trying to rush to the finish, to translate whatever I'm thinking in my head, trying to visually convey with the speed of thought what that is. But the act of drawing can feel like a long, drawn out process. It can feel tedious at times. Maybe it's just the mood I'm in, or maybe it's just part of the way I really want to work. Sometimes I can't really tell. There are times when I enjoy the slow process of pencil drawing, doing all the values and all the subtle drawing, and other times I honestly wonder, why did I even start this drawing? Sometimes it's fun just to switch mediums. A wash drawing will get me places a lot quicker than working out layers of graphite. Now, I began this by doing a linear drawing of the head, indicating the proportions and the placement of the features. I leave out indicating any of the lights and darks, saving that for the broad washes of burnt sienna watercolor that I'm going to be using. Working this way reminds me of the drawings I loved by an artist named Giambattista Tiepolo, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but I know that Tiepolo is probably how you pronounce his last name. Anyway, he was a very, very famous painter, Venetian painter, who did a ton of frescoes, and he was very famous. He also trained his sons to work in the same way that he did, and he did these drawings that were very, very simple drawings. They were pen drawings with washes of brown ink or brown watercolor, and they were simple. They were wonderful. They were just simple drawings. Now, for me, I get carried away with the rendering sometimes, and I'm not a photorealist or anything like that, and so I don't go rendering that way. But I don't render, and I don't simplify it as much as I want to. When I see these drawings by Tiepolo, I see a very, very simple drawing, but it tells a lot, and it's just like it takes so much restraint to say so much with so little, and he does that beautifully with his work. It also reminds me of the times I saw these drawings in the Metropolitan Museum of Art by old masters. There are times where they would put out their drawing collection, and they have a whole bunch of drawings that don't normally get displayed, and every now and then they put them out in so that the public can see them, and it's a whole bunch of old master drawings done in different media. It's like mixed media. Some of them are simple wash drawings done with pen and ink and wash. Some of them are a little bit more complicated, but it's still simple in that it's just a drawing, and probably a limited palette. Some of them may have a bluish or black or bluish ink or brown ink, and it may contain watercolor washes, may also have traces of chalk or graphite. They could use white chalk or white gouache for highlights and so forth. So it's a bunch of beautiful drawings that they put out, and I also have a number of books collecting these works, but it is a big experience just to go see them. So that's basically the type of thing that I'm trying to do here. Putting down the washes of color helps me to cover the drawing a lot quicker than would have been the case with using the graphite. There are also many ways that I can play with the washes. I can lay down solid washes of color. I can puzzle them, or can put down dry brush strokes. That is, to puddle them is basically to just exactly how it sounds, to put pools of color down, or pools of washes down, and kind of let it dry, and there's a lot of, like, a ring would form around it. Or dry brushing is basically when you take the paint and you just take out the excess water, so that what you have there is mostly color and very little water, and when you brush it across the page, it just kind of leaves like these dry strokes, like scumbling it over the page, and you can see the texture of the paper and so forth. So in that way it becomes even a little bit like drawing. I can also work very broadly, or I can use the brush to draw or make quick strokes to indicate the folds of the scarf on her head. I really get more of a sense of play when I'm doing this, as opposed to that tedious work of doing the graphite, and it's less play and it's more discovery. It's still interesting to me, but when I do the graphite, it's more about discovery, and when I do these washes, it's more about play. As long as the initial drawing is correct, now that is more keeping in line with the graphite drawing. Of course, I did it in graphite, right? So, but I'm making sure that the drawing is correct, and so that I can play with the washes a little bit more liberally, and indicating the values and so forth. Eventually, to the burnt sienna, I'll add something here. I'll add a ultramarine blue to darken it, and it also helps me to make a black. It creates a black that I use for that I can use to darken some of the areas that I want to, or else I can use the blue to just introduce a cooler accent to the drawing and play around with it more that way. I'm not trying to make a watercolor painting here. That would be too much for the paper that I'm using, and it's only able to take light washes of watercolor. And all I wanted to do here anyway was just to make a simple wash drawing. So I stick to this limited palette of one warm color and one cool color, leaving the white of the paper as the lightest light. This type of drawing is also a great introduction to watercolor, by the way. As you get used to the medium, just using these two colors, you can use this as a springboard for more ambitious watercolors, more ambitious paintings, more ambitious designs, as well as just an exploration of more suitable surfaces. Because like I said, this particular surface can only take light washes of color. But if I wanted to do something heavier, I would have chosen a different type of paper, and I would have been able to do a lot more with it. And you know, there's different types of things that you can use, different types of surfaces that you can experiment with. They're always a way, like I said from the start of this, to just get to a quicker finish, if that's what you want. And sometimes you need that expediency. Sometimes this is the kind of ideal thing. Like you can see to the right of me, that little pocket watercolor set, right, where it's something that's portable, and this is something that you can take to the park, or you know, what have you. There are also other types of brushes that I can use. There are brushes that you can fill. They have like a reservoir, and it's plastic, and it has a reservoir where you can put water in it, so you can just squeeze the water on, you know, you squeeze the plastic and it squeezes the water onto the brush itself, right? And then I can use that to wet the paint and to apply washes. So it can become something that's very portable, something that you can do some urban sketching or sketching outdoors and so forth. And like I said, you can see there are a lot more colors, so I can push that a little bit more. Or you can actually even if you want, like, prepare a bit more. Like, there are times where I take a jar of water with me as I go out to paint. Even there were times where I didn't have any water. I had my paints, I had my brushes, but I had no water. So I would actually buy a bottle of water and use that. You know, it's just what I wanted to use, you know. And I can also take this, like I said, you can use different surfaces. I can use a tone paper, and I can introduce white gouache, or like in some of those old master paintings that I mentioned earlier. I can also use like a white chalk, if not white gouache. I can also include India ink, or whatever ink, whatever ink I want. I mean, it could be India ink. It could be different color India inks. That can be what I use for the washes instead of the watercolors. There's just it's just open as far as what you can do with this. The whole point of it being is, how do I get to a finish? I didn't want to, bother with the tedious work of the pencil, which it can feel that way sometimes. Yeah, I mean, keep in mind that I still enjoy the type of drawing with a pencil. I do, but this option is there for whenever the mood strikes me. So, if you feel impatient, or you feel like you want to try something new, or want to try something that may not be as tedious as a pencil drawing, just to loosen yourself up. Even this can be a fun thing to do in the morning, just as a way to loosen yourself up. It is a lot of fun. I do have fun doing these. This is always an option, for me if I wanted to do something very quickly. But like I said, if I wanted to do something more complicated, then I have to do something like find a different surface to paint with, and so forth. Because you can develop these really far. You can develop these to look at as much as a finished painting as you want, even without the watercolors. A full watercolor palette, like I said, you can include different mediums and make it a mixed media thing. You can include whatever you want on this, whether it's gouache, like I said, inks. You can add colored pencils if you want. You can you can go anywhere with this, and then at the same time, it's not. It's more fun and not exploration is not a good word, but maybe it's fun, and you can just let yourself go. Especially like what I said, I started out with a careful drawing underneath, so everything else is just like it isn't slapping stuff there. There's a purpose for every brushstroke, but there is a looseness to it. There's a spontaneity that you don't get in very detailed graphite pencil. So like I said, it's fun to do, and it's always an option to do. It's something that's great to try. If you don't want to do a pencil drawing, or like I said, you want something to do to loosen up, maybe in the morning before you start to do something more detailed or more intensive. By the way, just to show you real quickly, here is the brush that I was talking about that I use when I don't have any water. You can see the plastic barrel here is filled with water, and I can just squeeze it, and water will come out onto the brush tip, and I can use that to wet the paints or to add water to the paper. It just depends on the amount of pressure that I put on the barrel as to how much water actually comes out. So if I press hard, a lot of water come out. Sometimes you want that, sometimes you don't. If I press just a little, then it just ekes out bit by bit, and then you can use it as you need it anyway. That is the brush that I use, the brush that I was talking about. Right now this video is just about finished, so I'll be finishing up here, and I sped it up basically because I just wanted to introduce the idea of using a different medium other than pencil, especially to get quickly where you want to get. If you have to make a quick notation of you might be outdoors, or you just might feel like you just need to relax and do a drawing that is going to be a drawing. It's going to be a wash drawing, but you don't want to spend a lot of time on it. You know, you can go very far with these drawings, and it can be very useful as far as if you're working out compositions or you're working out sketches towards a more finished product, or if you have in mind to take this even further and do a really finished piece, you can do that. It just depends on what you want to do. The sky's the limit with it. With this, it's just a way of getting there faster and enjoying yourself. It's if you're impatient or if you want to loosen up. It just depends on your mood entirely. So like I said, I'm finishing this painting up, and this here is the finished product. You will see the finished drawing right here. So that's it. I want to thank you guys for hanging with me throughout this video. I also want to remind you that if you like this video, please hit like. All right, and please hit the like button. Or if you're interested in watching more videos like this one, I will be here every Tuesday, so you can subscribe to the channel and you will always see a video discussing something regarding art. Like recently I've been doing these videos on the features, so I'm going to continue to post that and just get into the idea of, you know, when I draw a head, or when I demonstrate drawing the head, I realize that even if I say I'm putting the eye here, or placing the nose here, or whatever, and the nose or the eyes or the lips or the ears, those are subjects within themselves. So I'll be posting more detailed videos on how to do, or how to draw those features. So, and then if you want more, and if you want to support this channel, there's always my Gumroad page, where I will leave a link below. You can check out more video tutorials on gouache, on digital art, on drawing, and so forth. All of that would be on my Gumroad page, as well as books and sketchbooks and so forth. So like I said, thank you for watching this video. I will be back on Tuesday, and I will see you guys then. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.